the High Point Citizens Advisory Council. Are we ready to go live?
Yeah.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Welcome. Again, we're going to call to order the virtual meeting of the High Point Citizens Advisory Council, January 28th, 2021. I want to welcome everyone who is in attendance. We do have 8 of the 9 members of the CAC. I want to welcome everyone. Hope everyone had a good day. We also have on the line our technical staff support. We have Miss Michelle McNair, Ms. Nina Wilson, Alicia Doolin, and Mr. Michael McNair. Okay. Would anyone like to open us up in prayer this evening? Nobody? No takers?
No, we'll go ahead. We always need to start with prayer. Let's pray. Father in heaven, we honor you. We thank you for this evening. Thank you for this time. Thank you, God, that you're there in the midst before we even get there. We ask that you clear a path for us, Father. Ask that you are part of our business before we even get there. We just look to you for our all. We look to you for our guidance and direction, God. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Mr. Boone. All right. Does everyone have a copy of the agenda? Everyone should? Okay.
Yes.
Has everyone had a chance to look at the minutes that have been made available? We have June and July's copies. And has everyone had a chance to look over them? Have any questions, any comments? Okay.
Nope.
Everything looks good. Do we have a motion on the floor to accept the minutes as they are?
Yes, I make a motion to accept the minutes as they are and as received.
Jessica Wynn, I second.
All right, we have a motion on the floor with a second to accept the minutes. We'll do a roll call. When you hear your name, just say aye or nay. Mr. Warren Boone,
Aye.
Jim Bronert,
Yes.
Mr. Jerry Mingo,
Yes.
Jessica.
Yes. Oh.
Yes.
Okay. Willie,
Yes.
Miss Clodagh,
Yes.
and I have Mr. Orrell.
Aye.
You are an aye, and I am a yes as well. All right, motion carries. Okay. All right, so we're going to get to old business first. Everyone should have received in their email a CDBG agency update. Michelle would have sent that out. Does anyone not have that update? Okay. Okay, guys. Well, if you'll see, there are a few individual agencies here that are pretty close to complete, if not complete. So it looks like everything is going according to schedule. There are a couple of late, I guess, entries here or individuals that are still looking to spend their disbursement. One of them is Open Door Ministries. They've just gotten started. Looks like we also have Growing High Point. So I've looked at it. It looks pretty good. I open up the floor to anyone that has any questions or comments. All right. No questions, no comments. Everybody likes it?
Yes, let's do it.
Okay. All right, guys. Do we want to make a motion to accept the report as presented?
I did have one question. Michelle, don't hate me because I know I've asked this before. But how long do these organizations have to spend this money? Was there a deadline?
We extended the deadline until June.
Okay. I make a motion to accept the report.
I second it.
All right, we have a motion and a second on the floor to accept the CDBG CV grant update. Do we have any questions?
Michelle, I've got a quick question for you. That tiny house, didn't they, I know that's nothing to do with this, but doesn't that tiny house, didn't they have a deadline for things?
When you talk about a deadline for the grant,
Yeah,
and they're not CV, they're the regular
Yeah, I know.
CDBG grant, yes. And their timeline has been extended.
okay.
All right, if there are no other questions, we will take it to a vote. Again, we will go one by one. Mr. Orrell,
Aye.
Warren Boone,
Yes.
Jim Bronert,
Yep.
Jerry Mingo,
Yes.
Jessica Nguyen,
Yes.
Willie Davis,
Yes.
Clodagh McSweeney,
Yes, I approve.
and Robert Sims will be a yes as well. Motion carries. Okay, group. Now, the next order of business is going to be the public service applications, so the regular grants. These are coming up. It's that time of year again. And this year, of course, we're going to be going virtual. So the process is going to be a little different because everything is going to be through the virtual lens of Zoom or whatever platform we use. Now, with that being said, and correct me if I'm wrong, Michelle, but this process will begin next month. And last
Yes.
year okay, thank you. We did have a situation last year where we split up the grants and we did it over a 2-day period. And so we want to discuss how we want to do that this year. Speaking with Michelle, there are maybe 8, maybe 9 applications in.
Rob, there's actually 10.
Now we have 10. Very good. Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, then we need to discuss how we want to go about reviewing these applications. If we want to do it in 1 night, 2 nights, and what do you guys think?
2 nights.
I agree.
I would agree with 2 nights as well, too.
I agree with 2 nights.
Me too.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions about the virtual process and what that might entail? Because, I'm not sure how that's going to go. So I'm going to pass that off to Michelle and maybe she can answer some of those questions.
Rob, what we are going to try to do is try to work and see if we can come up with a procedure that it won't take as long because you guys are going to be, doing this virtually. And in doing that, if it can work out the way that I think we might be looking at, which we will probably share with you a little bit later because we have to get a little bit more details, is to maybe you guys maybe select like a allocation committee where a group of you, probably no more than 4, would actually be the ones that the presentations will come to, but everybody will review the grants. And then if you have any questions about what you have reviewed, you can shoot those questions to the allocation committee. And then the allocation committee will be the ones that's going to listen to the presentations and make the selection, based on your conversations with them, your questions, and then based on the presentations. And that may move the process along a little bit quicker than to have, all of you and everybody with, the grantees coming to you either one night or 2 nights. And so that's an option that you guys can think about and see if that's something that you want to happen. And it would just make it a lot quicker with time, versus being on a Zoom call for a long period of time because of what you have to do, with listening to all the presentations.
Question, and this is to the group also. I want you guys to think about this. With an allocation committee, how does that communication work? Do they do the presentation and then do they report back to the whole board? And then there's a decision made after we speak? How does that look?
Well, from what I'm thinking about with the allocation committee is that everybody on the board would get the applications. You will review the applications. If you have questions about the applications, you would present them to the allocation committee. And then the allocations committee, whoever that group is, will be the ones that's going to actually listen to the presentations from the agencies. And based on what you submit to them in the line of questioning, and based on what they get whenever they review and also listen to the presentations, they will come back to you with a recommendation and a scoring and a ranking on who they think should get the funding. And then the group, based on that, then we'll make that decision as to, if there's any other questions or what you guys want to do, but you would vote on whatever the allocation committee presents to you.
So the allocation committee would do the scoring, and then the top ones in that scoring would then go to the full board. Am I hearing that right?
They will present
vote
to
on?
you what they came up with. The allocations committee will present to you what they came up with.
And then at that point, we either accept or not.
Yes.
So Michelle, so you guys are thinking that doing it virtually will take longer to do?
It may, yes.
So should we?
And you already know when we are not doing it virtually, it takes you a long time, for people to come in and present, even when you do it over 2 days.
So do we need to extend the 2 day to maybe 3 days? And reason why I'm asking, forming that committee, that's more work that little committee is going to have to do on top of other things, I guess. I mean, that's just my thought, I guess.
I think, without hearing any other arguments or opinions, I would agree with Warren. I almost would rather have all of us on the call and do an extra day but I'm open to whatever.
Michelle, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Don't we also score them on an oral report? How they gave the oral review. If everybody's not there, how would we score them on the oral?
Your allocation committee would actually do that.
Okay.
Is this something that we have to do, or is this something we're thinking about, or?
We're just giving you options.
Okay, I'm going to give my opinion. I don't like the idea. I like the old way we did it. I like interacting with the people who are doing the presentation, the whole 9 yards. I like to see the body language and listen to the people who are doing the presentation myself, rather than going on to another committee of people. I like to. I'm just my opinion.
Michelle, we're looking at if we did 2 meetings or 3 meetings, however we did it, we're looking at February 25th, right? So potentially the 24th through the 26th.
You're looking at, correct, February the 25th, and then you guys will decide on what the next day will be. And if you do 2 days, you'll have 5 presentations. If you do more than 2 days, then it will be less. And so you guys will make that decision on what those days will be. As long as it's not in conflict with another meeting that's going on at the city, because we will have to come up online. And when we have multiple meetings, we put a lot of stress on our communications department in trying to run multiple meetings. And so whenever you guys decide on which way you would like to do it, and you give me the dates, then I will check to see if there's any other meetings going on at the city where, you know, where we won't run into a conflict.
So Michelle, so also the deadline has passed for persons submitting their application, correct?
Yeah, the only
So
group you're gonna have is actually, you only
10.
have, excuse me, you only have 10 applications. The deadline was actually January the 8th.
Yeah, I feel like if we can start at like 5:30 or something like that, then that would be cool too. Just so that way if it does go a little later, then that it's not like super duper late. But I don't know what everyone else's schedules are like.
so how much time were we talking about giving the individuals as well too?
Normally, we give them 5 minutes to do the presentation. Yeah, 5 minutes to do the presentation, and then you guys have 5 minutes to do questioning.
These have nothing to do with COVID related issues. These are just the standard. Okay.
Nothing with COVID. They're just the regular CDBG grants.
Although everything is affected by COVID right now. So I imagine what we heard last year, I mean, I can't imagine any of those would go ahead as per normal this year, you know?
Yeah, that's definitely something to consider, like a normal project where you normally ask, I don't know, I'm just going to say like $10,000, might be $15,000 this year because of the COVID precautions you have to take to execute it safely.
Yeah, I was just going to chime in. I think that I could see both. I could see the need to have this option that Michelle presented, because I do believe the presentations are going to be longer, and I do believe we're going to also have more questions. So on one hand, as a group, I think if we decide that we're okay with 2 or it may be 3 days, if everyone is on board with 3 days, then I'll say fine. You know, like what Jim said, we all hear the same information, we score it, and then we judge as a group. However, if it's going to be 3 days and not everyone is going to be able to take all 3 days of presentations and asking questions, then it becomes a taxing situation. So therefore, the allocation committee, you know, those that would commit to that time, to those days, that would be more of a better option in that case. So I'm saying that to say, just as a group, I think we may need to vote, or, you know, if it's not today, you know, probably, you know, within the next week, you know, out of all of us, are we okay with 2 or 3 days committing ourselves to that purpose? And that'll let us know if we need to, you know, if everyone needs to go ahead and be in the presentation and score, or if there's going to be only 4 that says, yes, I can commit, but others say, no, we can't. So then we go towards the allocation committee.
Yeah, I mean, I can see why, because of COVID. I think at first I was like, why would it really take longer? But I can see because of COVID, us having more questions. Michelle, there's nothing that says that these meetings have to be back to back to back. Like we could do one Monday and another Thursday.
Yes. But the closer you do them, the more you can remember what was been said and what you have to do. So I wouldn't advise, you know, going too far out between meetings.
Michelle, can I ask you if many of the companies, the nonprofits, are they the same as last year?
Majority of them are. They may be some new ones, but the majority of them are the same. Alicia, did we have any new ones? Do you recall?
We have, it looks like just one or two new ones. Some of them are previous grantees, but they're doing different projects.
And Alicia and I are going to be sitting down on next week and going through the applications. And so even though I tell you right now, there's 10 applications that were submitted, it also depends if they are eligible once we go through them. So that number 10 may drop a little bit.
And by eligible, you just mean that they would meet the standard criteria for the funds?
Right.
Because I just, as well with COVID, a lot of the companies that applied for those funds were also kind of mingled in with the COVID funds. Like big sisters, big brothers, I mean, they wouldn't be applying again, right? Because programs like that couldn't possibly be taking place, right?
And I don't know if they're one of the agencies, but they could apply again because they have regular programs that they're doing. And so they could apply again for a grant.
And if I'm not mistaken, this grant takes effect in July, correct? So, by then also there could be a change as well as what we're going through right now, as COVID, as we're going through this pandemic now too.
Let me also point out to you that there's a difference between having to react to COVID organizationally and taking actions to respond to COVID. So those are two different things. They may be doing something that really has nothing to do with COVID, but they did have a COVID impact organizationally. So you don't want to get those two mixed up. It's kind of like, we won't be having anybody coming in seeking to do a COVID program.
But there could be extra costs because we have to have masks to be able to do this.
But yeah, and that's for them to do their business, to function.
Right.
But they're not doing it to respond, prevent, or prepare for COVID.
But COVID is so huge I'm thinking of the applications we had last year. There was about 12. There was the YMCA, Big Brothers, Big Sisters. Every single one of them couldn't possibly go ahead like they would have last year, given that we're in a pandemic. And then I'm wondering also if there's going to be another round of pandemic funds. And then I'm just wondering if these are going to be tied in,
The two grants won't be tied, even if we got another round of COVID money, they're not going to be tied into the regular CDBG funds.
I'm gonna say this. This is Willie Davis. As far as for me, I think that we should stay as a group, as a whole, because this board is as a whole, as a group. And as far as time wise, just like we make a commitment to be on this board, on this committee, we should also if it takes time, we should be committed to taking the time to do it and make sure it's done right as a group. For me, I think I personally would like to do it as a whole instead of having 4 other people make a decision for me. I like to see them and hear them. I may have questions for them that I may not ask the committee or something like that, but I'm willing to do whatever you guys feel like is best, whatever the majority decides on. But for me, I like to keep it as we are. As it's been for years. I don't think time should be something that should sway us the other way. If it takes 30 minutes extra, we all realize that at some point in this group, in this committee, some may take 30 minutes extra or an hour extra. But that's what we're committed to.
Well, team, as I look around and I've heard the comments, I just want to say that I am proud that we've decided we're going to take on this mission. Uh, I think it's pretty clear that everyone wants to be involved, and I wanted to challenge everyone to stay to that commitment. And it sounds like everyone has. I just like to say for me, I'm on board with everyone pulling in like we are. Right now, I think it's just a next step is to figure out how we want to split up the applications or if we do want to split them up. And I think we can be flexible with the days because, the last meeting we had last year, I think it went from like maybe 6:30 to 9, maybe 6:30 to 9:30. I think those were kind of late for us, but we got through them. I don't think this will be any different. We will be on Zoom. So for all of those, who have any, uncomfortableness with the Zoom, maybe we can work that out. But I think we can do it. You guys tell me, but I think it shouldn't be too much different than what we've done in the past.
I would agree. And I think I would prefer if it does end up being as long as 3 days. To Michelle's comment, I would prefer all 3 in a row just because I can actually remember what happened yesterday. But I mean, if the City of High Point's communication department has another meeting, I mean, I have no problem with being flexible. Yeah. That whole week, I mean, this is the only thing I got going on at night, so.
Well,
The
I-
I'm
ideal,
boring. I've got no life, so.
yes,
a
you do.
lot of, a
Yes,
lot, a lot of us have other, a lot of us have other commitments though. We are involved with other things besides. So
So the goal pretty much is to get it done within a week, correct? That should be the ultimate goal, correct?
I would say so again
Okay.
because we want to be, fresh for each presentation that comes, and we want to make the best decision. I personally think it can be done in 2 nights because again, the only difference between last year and this year is that we've got Zoom, so we're doing it from home. So if we can see ourselves committing to let's say 2 to 3 hours on those days, we should be able to get through it.
And we won't
I
be
think.
eating.
Well,
We won't be eating.
well, let's hope not.
You
We
can
are
turn
at
your
home.
camera off for a brief snack for a
Just
moment.
a little bit, just a little bit.
Yeah. So again, team, I would like to say I think it can be done. I think if we can keep the same 2 days, as long as we can, focus on the job at hand, I don't think it should be an issue.
So are we talking Wednesday and Thursday as the target dates?
The 24th, I know I have a commitment on that day, but it's no big deal. It's just me.
We could do the 23rd and the 25th too. I mean, that's only 1 day gap. It's not a big deal.
I like the 23rd and the 25th.
I
Michelle,
like
the CP meeting on the 23rd, or that's the day meeting?
Our meeting was gonna be on the 25th at 10 o'clock.
Okay.
The 3rd is Washington Street Neighborhood Association meeting, and that's it.
When is that, Michelle?
It's the Washington Street Neighborhood Association meeting.
What
That
day?
is the only thing that I know that's gonna happen on the 23rd, and they meet at 6 o'clock.
So that shouldn't impact your decision.
No,
Are they having a Zoom meeting also, or is that?
yes, it is.
Okay.
But that shouldn't affect you guys unless somebody wants to go. Our staff will probably buy out of that meeting because normally we try to go to the Zoom meetings when they have it, but that's okay if you guys decide on the 23rd.
23rd is good for me.
How's the 25th look for everybody? If the 23rd is good, how's the 25th look?
I'm good with either day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, either day. I'm
But you
fine.
know, the 25th is your regular meeting night anyway.
Okay.
Right.
25th is fine with me.
Okay. Well, if everybody likes that, we'll go
Yep.
ahead and we'll put that on the schedule for the 23rd and the 25th. We don't need a motion for that. We can just plan that, correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So we'll shoot for those 2 days. You know, if anything comes up, just please let us know. And if we have to rearrange it, then we'll cross that bridge if we get to it.
But we
And
can let you know tomorrow, because we're gonna have to check with communications to see if there's a
and
board.
Mike, for that particular time, if they, and I don't have their schedule, so I don't know if they're meeting this day, but the planning committee will be meeting on they normally meet on the 4th Tuesday, I think it is. And Ryan, you can correct me if I'm wrong. And they do their voting on the 4th Thursday. And so if that is still the case, we probably cannot meet before 7 o'clock. But I just have to look at schedules and see if they're going to actually meet that week.
What day is that you're talking about? Lisa sent me a calendar all the way up till April, so.
Okay, I'm talking about February the 23rd and February the 25th.
There's planning and zoning on the 23rd, which is usually about an hour. That starts at 6. Could be anywhere from an hour to 3 hours. And then 10 o'clock CDC, 4 o'clock finance, 6 o'clock P&Z, and then she has you guys at 7 o'clock for CAC.
How does Wednesday look?
Wide open.
How does Monday look?
Wide open.
We have leaders meeting on Monday.
You have what on Monday? I'm sorry.
Our neighborhood leaders meeting.
So Tuesday and Wednesday?
And we could actually have a staff member if we do the neighborhood leader meeting, but we'll be missing 3 people from this that's going to be on this group that won't be a part of our neighborhood leaders meeting.
Looks like Wednesday and Thursdays, guys.
Yeah, I can't make Wednesdays the 24th, but I could do Thursday.
Michelle, how long does your leaders meeting last?
We start at 6:30 and it could last to 8 o'clock.
We want to look at the next week, which would be March 1st. I don't know if we
That
can
takes
do that.
So you could do the 25th and then maybe you saying look at another day of the week? Because the 25th is your regular CAC meeting.
5th, we won't be able to start until 7. That's not going to give a lot of time for presentations on that day.
Well, we're not going to be able to start until 7.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. That's
March
Yeah.
1 will be a council meeting day, so that obviously is out.
Monday.
What did we say about the 24th?
Clodagh cannot attend on the 24th. She has a previous commitment.
Okay. Will the presentations be recorded?
Yes.
Yes, they're going to be recorded as they are presenting. Yes.
So will we have to make a decision that night?
At
After-
the end, at the end of the second, if you do 2 days, at the end of the second presentation, you should be making a decision. Normally, if you go over to another day, which you can do that, then people tend to forget what took place the 2 nights before. So
Well, I'm just kind of trying to help Clodagh out. I mean, if she's just missing that one night, you guys might be able to send the recording to her.
Yeah,
On
I'd be
the
happy to catch
25th.
up on it. Yeah.
Yeah,
and that could happen.
right. So I would say do Wednesday and Thursday. I mean, that's just me. Let's get it done.
Yeah, that's fine by me too.
Good, cool.
If it's fine with Clodagh, then I'm fine with it.
What about me?
You too, Warren.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So then on that Wednesday, are we going to start at 6 then, and then on the Thursday at 7 o'clock?
Ryan, you said there's nothing scheduled for the 24th?
Of February, as of right now, on the calendar that I was sent today, there's nothing on the 22nd, the 24th, or Friday the 26th.
So we're still saying 7 o'clock then?
If there's nothing scheduled right now, I mean, you can do it earlier than 7.
For the 24th, we could do 6.
Right.
Yep.
The 25th, we can't do 6.
No,
Oh, okay. Well, that's okay. So 6 o'clock on the 24th and then 7 o'clock on the 25th.
That's what it looks like, yes.
I'm good.
Mhm.
Okay. So everybody likes that schedule? 24th, 25th, Wednesday and Thursday?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Jim, you're good?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right, excellent. And Willie, you're good with that?
Be right here.
All right, great group. Great. All right, so we'll go ahead and notch that down. Everybody just be ready for those 2 days. I don't know if maybe there's something we can discuss with our technical staff. Maybe they can order us something to eat and send it if we really have to have it.
no.
Can't do it. Okay.
She said no.
It's worth a shot. She might have said yes, but it's okay. We're going to keep it moving. Anyone has any questions, any comments? Are we a go for the process?
Rod, I would like to also say that you guys should be receiving the applications on the 8th of February, so that you guys will have the opportunity to review them and, you know, make your notes or do whatever you have to do. Now, in the past, you guys have asked us just to email them to you. And Alicia has been sending you a link to where you can click on and review those applications. Is that still what you want us to do?
I would say yes.
And Michelle, let me ask this question. Is the option there to get a hard copy? If I can come by the city hall and get a hard copy, is that a possibility?
Yes,
Okay, can I do that? I would like to do that.
yes.
Okay.
Anybody else, hard copy?
I would like to have one.
Okay.
All right. Excellent. February 8th. Okay. And that actually leads us to our next agenda item, which is going to be the CDBG reviews for 2021. These reviews are actually, they're going to be pushed back. So we're not going to get that review until March. Okay. These are the regular grants that we had, we saw last year, and these are the ones that we approved. So,
And Rob, can I
yes.
interrupt you, please?
Yes.
When you and I spoke earlier this week, we had said March would be when we would have the agencies to present to you guys.
Mhm.
And we may have to push it back another month because we've just put together the schedule for our annual plan. And our annual plan will be presented to you guys in March. And I think that's going to be a little too much for have presentations and then do the plan. Unless you got an all-nighter.
Team, what do you think? Because these are the reviews from last year's regular grants, CDBG grants. They were pushed back a little bit. So like I say, we are getting a review, and their deadline is September for them to use those funds. So keeping in mind that we do have the next round of grants we're going to be looking at in February. Then we've got the presentation that Michelle is going to provide to us in March. And now we're talking about another review which is going to either come that month in March or we can do it next month, the month after. So you guys tell me what you think.
Bob, let me weigh in on just a second. We have a tight action plan schedule, as far as an order of magnitude, you might say. We have a tight schedule where we'll present to you in March. We go to council 2 weeks later. We go to the committee the week after that. And then we go to council for a public hearing. And then we have to submit to HUD in May. And I believe Nina's going to cover that schedule anyway. So from our perspective, when you do the review is less important than when we do the action plan. But it's not an equivalent action. You need to accept that as your schedule.
Ooh.
Okay, we're going to come to you in March with the action plan. Now, if you want to do both, that's fine, but we're not going to delay the action plan.
All right, that's understandable. So again, team, what do you think?
I think Michelle had a great idea of pushing it, waiting to the next month, because I think it will be a little too much for us.
I agree.
I agree.
Yeah, we don't want to get burned out.
I'm good with that. Yeah.
Okay, so it looks like we're going to push that back if we have to. So we'll see how that shakes out after this next February meeting. So right now, we'll just plan to get the follow-up from you, Michelle, that you'll let us know when we'll have that review. Because
In
you're saying if
April.
it's going to be in April?
Yes.
Okay. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. We have February, March, and April already locked in. So look to do grant applications. Look to also do your budget, and look to also do your review. So just prepare your calendars accordingly. Okay. Any questions?
When you say
Comments?
budget, are you talking about the annual plan?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry. The annual plan, we're going to have that in March.
Okay.
Yeah. We call it the budget. It's my apologies. When we say budget, that's our money, right, guys? Okay. All right. Well, we're moving on. New business. We have a CAPER presentation from Ms. Nina Wilson. It is all yours.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'm gonna, Ryan, can I share my screen?
Sure.
Okay. Okay, can everyone see here? See the PowerPoint?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. What you have is it's actually the 2019-2020 Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report, or our CAPER. And, this is annual report. Typically, it's due in September. But of course, with the CARES Act and with COVID, they did extend that submission date. So it was actually due by the end of December. The CAPER is basically our report card. It pretty much summarizes and evaluates the activities that we have done for that particular fiscal year. And the focus is on federal grants that we receive, like CDBG, home, our Section 108 loan funds. Even though we do include in our final report all of our funding sources, we do get, we of course have general fund money. So it is, our CAPER does actually include all of those funding sources and those. And the CAPER is still in draft form right now. You can find it on the website, on our website. And if you go to the community development webpage and under plans and reports, that's where you can actually find that draft CAPER. And we won't finalize the CAPER until HUD approves it. It's reviewed right now. Our HUD rep is actually reviewing our CAPER right now. And once she finalizes it and approves it, then we'll put that final plan out on the website. Okay, here you have our funding sources. As you can see, the bulk of our funding, the lion's share, of course, comes from federal sources. Then we do receive some funding from the state at about 6%. We receive 62% in federal funding when we look at our total budget, 6% from the state, and 32%, which is local money or general funds. And if you have any questions as I'm going along, please, you can certainly chime in or interrupt. And these are just a few of the things when we look at our strategic plan. I'll just point out a couple of these. I won't read everything to you. And one of the things that we do know, of course, is, as you all discussed earlier on the call, COVID has affected everything. And so we did have to delay some of our projects, especially when it came to our housing care programs, because we do serve a lot of elderly homeowners. And so we did not want to, of course, increase, their risk or exposure when it comes to COVID. So we did delay some of our jobs for several months. So when we look at our emergency and urgent repair program, we did not quite meet our target this year. And of course, one of those reasons is because we didn't get to do Operation As Much in the spring. Typically with Operation As Much, we do anywhere from 15 to 20 homes. So that was something that we were not able to do in the spring. When you look at affordable rental housing development, that particular project is one that has not moved forward, even though we had it in our action plan. It was actually the Meredith Street project, and has not gotten that project off the ground yet. So that's why you kind of see a zero sitting there. But as far as our down payment assistance, we projected on direct loans, but actually made 22 loans. So just to kind of point out just a couple things. And like I said, COVID did kind of hamper what we plan to do for the year.
I got a question real quick.
Sure.
On the page before this one, I thought I saw when you had that pie diagram, the Core City Redevelopment Fund. I thought that was 800,000. Has it been reduced to 600,000?
No, sir. Our department only gets 600,000. 200,000 of that is actually put into another accounting unit, and is primarily used by our real estate department and the manager's office. So that is all that community development receives out of that 8.
So that 800,000 that's not going all for the Core City redevelopment then?
It is being for city redevelopment activities. It's just that not all of those activities are coming through our department.
Okay.
There are other departments that are actually, like I said, when it comes to acquisition of certain properties and things that are actually being handled right of way.
And I know I've always asked Mike every year, is there a chance that I can get a diag or an accounting of where that money, how that money is being spent?
Mike, I'm
That question is for me.
Yes, right.
I ask you every year, Mike. Can I get or can we all get how this Core City redevelopment money is being spent?
You mean the 600,000 from our department?
Yeah, well, all of it if it's possible.
Yeah, we don't report it the way that you're used to seeing. We could probably run a report. What we didn't do it last year because of COVID, but the year before we did an analysis with council, and I think I shared that with you guys before. We haven't updated it yet. We kind of really looked at the last 4 or 5 years, where all the funds, because this is year 5 now, 4 or 5.
Mm-hmm.
So council's been pretty steadfast on that. But I can tell you, from a category standpoint, what we do with it primarily is urgent repairs in one form or another. And then we do some land acquisition. The manager's office is using it primarily for land acquisition, I'd have to say. So big chunks of it are urgent repair.
Which is operation in as much. If I can, yeah, the operation is funded out of this.
And we also have, I believe, the general fund portion of the Core City Home Buy Incentive comes out of there as well.
That's correct. Mm-hmm.
That's the part that is for people that are above 80% of the median.
Mm-hmm.
And then probably the rest of it is being used for property acquisition.
Is there any chance that this, that 600,000 could does anybody ever ask for more, more money other than just that amount?
Oh, we do all the time.
we actually got less this year, Jim. We actually only received, I think, what was it, Mike? 300,000?
I think we ended up getting
400,000. So we did get a cut in the current year's budget.
Okay, that's all I had.
Yeah, I don't want to get on my soapbox about that, but I agree with where you're coming from.
Okay. I'd still like to get an accounting of where that money's coming from, how it's being spent, if that's possible.
We can put something together for you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, any other questions on that? Okay, and this slide here just kind of shows, of course, who are some of the agencies and our partners that we worked with during the 2019-2020 program year. I know it seems kind of odd for us to talk about, I guess, that far back, but basically this was for the year ending June 30th of 2020. And these are some of the affordable housing projects. And, I know that Mike gives you updates just about every meeting on where we are with all of our projects. And again, because we are looking at that 1920 year, this is when most of these projects were just really kind of getting off the ground. You have Cable Street, Avondale Trace, and Cedro subdivision. And one of the things I'm sure that Mike will report on is basically Avondale Trace, they're actually leasing up right now. So these projects have definitely gotten underway. We know that on Cedro, we've got a couple of the houses coming up out of the ground. So during this particular program year, we spent a lot of money, though, as far as infrastructure and really just getting things going. And this pie chart shows how the funding was actually distributed when we talk about activity. And if you will notice pretty much the right side of the pie chart, I would say about actually 3/4 of the pie chart, you'll see that is for affordable housing activities. That is, primarily one of our major activities. And so that's where the bulk of our money is spent. And then this shows you sort of just a line item breakdown of where some of the expenditures occurred. As you can see, we had a budget total of a little over $3 million. We expended roughly $2.3 million. A couple things that I do want to just point out, if you look at Operation In As Much, Jim, though that comes out of that Core City Redevelopment Fund, we budgeted $200,000. Of course, we were not able to spend all of that because we didn't get to have the spring event. So that's just something that just kind of wanted to point out. And again, if you see, I'll just point out, like with the affordable housing development for Cedro, budgeted, but we had expenditures. Well, basically that project was funded in the prior year. We just made those expenditures though during the 2019-2020 year. And so for any line items that you see where maybe the actual expenditures exceeded what we had budgeted, those were funds that had been budgeted in a prior year, but the expenditures occurred within this particular budget year. Any questions? And just to show you, this is, we just actually recently had a lender realtors workshop last Friday or Friday before. But this just kind of shows really how COVID has affected everything. As you can see in there in the meeting room, we have folks there. This is a workshop that's always well attended. But as you can see in the picture that's in the inset, it had to go virtual. We had to move that to virtual, a virtual meeting. And so everyone, of course, is adjusting. We've had to adjust over this past year. And again, just some of the activities. We have a VITA volunteer training at West End, the after school program there, Helping Hands, their food pantry. And you can see at 605 Vale, there you have a new homeowner. That young lady actually purchased the home at 605 Vale. Look at some of the urban agriculture that's going on within High Point. We have quite a bit of that with Growing High Point and partnering with them. That's the top left picture. On the bottom left, you have our construction training program that we do in partnership with North Carolina Housing Finance Agency and the North Carolina Builders Association. That shed is what they actually build during that class, and then they are typically donated to the community gardens for them to use it for storage. And then once they graduate from the class, the photo on the right, they actually go out and do repair for our homeowners. So the construction training program is part of our homeowner and urgent repair program. And here we have VITA. As you know, VITA, we've been doing it in, what is that, Alicia, 13, 14 years now, looks like. And of course, COVID caused the numbers to decrease when sites had to be closed down. But I know that they are actually getting geared up right now for the tax season this year. And one of the things that we definitely want to point out here is if you look at the average adjusted gross income, that column next to the last column, the average AGI is $16,662. So, and that's over all of those years. And just to point out that this program is really benefiting those in our community who need it most. And this, like all of our programs, that really is the mission and the goal, that we're reaching those folks that truly need assistance. And here we look at affirmatively furthering fair housing choice. And basically, when we talk about fair housing, it is a matter of individuals, regardless of income, regardless of socioeconomic background, that they do have affordable, decent, safe, sanitary housing that is available to them. And many of the activities, if not all of the activities that we do, are really to improve and revitalize our communities so that individuals and families will have those options, those better options. We try to make sure that people are not living in poverty-stricken areas or RCAPs, as they call racially concentrated areas of poverty, those types of things. So all of the activities that we do really are to help improve the neighborhoods for our community, of course. And like I said, the CAPER was actually due December 31st, so it was submitted to HUD. The CAPER is not a document that actually, quote unquote, requires approval, because it is just it's a report. We basically are saying this is what we did with the funds and the activities that we accomplished over that period of time. Are there any questions? Okay, thank you.
Oh, wait, I was trying to unmute.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't, okay.
Okay. what happens with any money that's left over from the caper? Because I did see where there was budgeted for I think maybe 3,000, and then it's looking like there may be 3 million,
Mhm.
and then I think 2 million is going to be used. So I'm just curious, what happens with that money that's not used?
It's rolled over into our current year budget, and that's only for the federal funds. I'll just say that one of the discussions that we have consistently had when it comes to the general fund is that general fund dollars cannot be rolled forward. From what I understand, that has to do with that's a statutory kind of thing, and I can't say that I fully understand all of that. Mike might understand it a little bit better, but with our federal funds, it is rolled forward into the current year. So we don't lose them. We keep all of our money. And if we had funds in rehab or whatever, wherever those funds were, that's where we try to keep it. Or if we see that we need to repurpose some of those funds, then we do that.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm. You're welcome.
Anybody else? Okay. Well, thank you, Ms. Wilson. We do appreciate that. I think we've already discussed the schedule change a little bit. I think Michelle mentioned that now our meetings are going to be moving till 7 p.m. instead of 6:30 because of the scheduling that has to happen with our Zoom technicians. They're doing a lot of meetings that are virtual. So just want everyone to be aware that now our meetings for the time being are going to be starting at 7. So hopefully that, can get back to some normalcy soon, but I just want everyone to know that and just make your plans accordingly. Okay. Next, we have Mr. McNair with Community Development.
Rob, before Mike starts, I have 2 items that I did not have on the agenda that I need to actually bring up to you guys tonight.
Yep, all yours.
Okay. The first one is when we did our allocations for last year, 2020-21, you guys funded the Boys and Girls Club $10,000. Since then, the Boys and Girls Club has actually acquired more money. They got another grant that came in. And so with the grant that they received, they no longer need our $10,000 because the grant that they actually submitted for will take care of all the needs that they had planned on for the year. And so we need to get recommendations from you guys as to where you want that money to go. And I would just share with you, normally there's a couple of options that you guys normally take when something like this happens. One is that you continue to go down the list of the way that you guys rank the agencies. And if you decide that that's what you want to do is to fund those particular agencies, then the work is already done because you've already gone through and you've already decided that if you had the money, these would be the agencies that you would allocate monies to. And then this is the priority in which you would have given it to them. So that's one way that you guys can go out and do this. I know that in one of the meetings, early on meetings, when we talked about this group of grantees, the Arc of High Point requested $20,000. And because we ran out of money, we ended up giving them $17,800. And Jim had asked Mike the question, if there was other monies available, could we go ahead and fund the ARC their entire $20,000? And so at the time, there was no money available for us to do that. And so that is another way, if you guys still want to do that, that you could actually go ahead and fund the ARC, the rebalance of the money that they requested, because they were one of the agencies that you guys had decided to actually fund, and they were funded.
Can I ask you a quick question? After the ARC, do you have a note there? I remember that the Mental Health Association at the Triad, we were talking about that one a little. I don't think that got funded. I know
It
that
did not, but they were not the next groups on the list. And so, and I'll read off to you the groups that you have. And so, you know, you just have, you have those type of options to look at, or so somebody just asked Mike or asked Nina, what happens to the fund if it's not used? If you guys decide that, you know, you're not going to use the funds, then it comes back, you know, to us to disperse, you know, however we see fit to use that money.
I have a couple questions. My first question is, are we allowed to mix both options? So finish the ARC's funding off. I mean, they asked for 20, we gave them 17, so they only need 3,000 left, and then give the rest to the groups that were next in line.
Well, you do have that option, but that, just let me tell you, if you don't go down the line, if you decide to do that and you don't go down the line in which they were, which you ranked them, you got to justify why you chose one group over another. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, but could the next group also do the program? Because all of these proposals came before COVID, so a lot
Well,
of
once you guys decide on how you want to do it, then we will reach out to the agencies and see if the agencies can still use the money.
That was my next question, was will we check in with them to see if they're even still in need? Or
Yes, we will, once you guys decide on how you want to use the money. Because we're not going to reach out to them before, you know, sort of raising up their hopes and you guys decide you want to do something else with the money. And so you had the, after the ARC, the next group that was ranked the highest was the High Point Housing Authority. And the amount of funds that they requested was $2,160. The second group was the Big Brothers, Big Sisters, which was $8,250. The third group was Growing High Point, which was $5,050. The next group was the Mental Health Association, which was $10,000. The next group was the Haight and Harmon Foundation, which was $4,650.
Yeah, but
And then the last group was the YWCA of High Point, which was $7,800.
I'd say half those programs you couldn't even do. I mean, the Hayden Harmon one was like a fair. You can't social distance. There's no way that's going ahead.
yeah,
I'm just giving you the ranking, and then you
Right.
guys make the decision on how you want the money funded.
there's only 10,000, right?
Well, yes, it's 10,000 total, yes.
So we wouldn't even make it down to the list to Heyman anyway,
Probably not.
or Harmon Hayden.
I think we ought to take the money and go give their 3,000 and go down the list and give it away, give them all. Because the next two would take up, well, just go down the list until it's gone.
But you're talking about Growing High Point. I mean, we've already funded them with the coronavirus.
You would end up not, and the only time you funded Growing High Point was during a different scenario, and that was underneath the COVID pandemic. This is not
Yeah,
COVID.
if we went down the list, Growing High Point wouldn't even be on there.
Yeah, we would only get to the ARC and the next two, and then we'd be out of money.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's my suggestion.
But Big Brothers Big Sisters was on there, and didn't the money
Yeah.
just come from there? So that doesn't make any sense.
Were they third on the list, Michelle?
The Boys and Girls Club was the one that could not use the $10,000.
Right.
That's the
So High
Salvation
Point,
Army, right? Is that the Salvation Army?
No, that's the High Point Boys and Girls Club.
Oh.
yeah, the High Point Housing Authority would be 2K, so that will be taken up, and then the Big Brother Big Sister wouldn't get all of it, but that will be, some of it would go towards them if we do it that way.
I mean, and can that program still operate Big Brother, Big Sister? That doesn't seem like that program's even in operation right now.
Well, Michelle, you'd have to check to see if they
Yeah.
would.
Yeah, they were doing
They're doing trips to colleges. I can't imagine that's going forward.
matching the students with mentors. So they may be doing it virtually. But we also put that Big Brothers Big Sisters and Grow and High Point were actually tied for the next spot. They have the same number, the same score.
I think
What
that's
other-
unfair to go down a list of the way that they're ranked. I mean,
Well, and we also mentioned too, I believe that Grow and High Point has an application in for the new round for the same project.
That's good
Okay.
to know.
Yeah, that's good.
What other options do we have with the $10,000?
Give it back to us.
That's it? We couldn't put it into the next round of grants that are coming in next month?
No,
Mike says no.
no.
use it or lose it.
I think we have enough programs to fund, given last
Yeah,
year.
I agree.
Because I can't imagine that mental health organization does not need those funds.
And the reason that
Perhaps the confusion
Grow
is
and High Point,
what
um,
we're talking about doing is going down the list. Michelle's going to check with those agencies. She'll check with those first three. Thank you, Mike. Okay.
Right.
ARC, Housing Authority, Big Brothers. If all of them say yes, that's it.
Yeah, cool.
If they
And
say
that's what-
no, we can't use it,
Yeah.
they should go to the next one.
Well, Big Brothers Big Sisters and Grow and High Point are tied for that third spot. They have the same number of points.
No, they don't.
yes, they do.
Good, 621.
They got 621 and their average was 92.
Okay, High Point Housing Authority is a different one. Okay.
No, Big Brothers Big Sisters and Grow and High Point.
What is this? Just alphabetical order?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's by points, but they just had the exact same number. So it just did alphabetical probably for them.
So if Big Brothers and Big Sisters comes back and says, we don't need that money anymore, would we skip over Growing High Point because they have a current application in for the same project for this year?
No, because if they're on the list and the only reason they weren't awarded was because they we didn't have the money, you could go ahead and fund them and then they would pull their application that they have for the current year, for the year coming up.
Okay.
Or how much was Big Brother, or sorry, how much was Growing High Point again?
$5,050. And Alicia, do you know, was it the same amount for the grant that they just sent in to us?
Sorry, they actually they have their new applications for 6,000.
Okay.
So would they keep their application in, just adjust it for how much they need left? Or like,
Probably not. Mike, did you hear that question?
No, well, what was the question again?
if,
Growing High Point, go ahead. I'm sorry, Jessica, go ahead.
no, you go ahead, it's fine.
Growing High Point was in the last round, but they didn't get funded because we didn't have enough money. And the amount that they requested was for $5,050. They submitted the application again this year, but for this year, the amount is $6,000. And what Jessica was asking, if they were gonna be funded this year, would we make the difference up with what, from, I guess, from the $5,050 to $6,000 for this coming up grant that they have already applied for? Just give them the difference.
Well, one, we don't want to mix the funding years, for one. You're assuming that Big Brothers Big Sisters is not.
I don't know, I'm just asking questions.
And
Well, we don't have good answers to your questions at this point.
That's an acceptable answer.
The best way
Yeah.
to do is just agree on how we're going to go forward. And once we make those 3 phone calls, it will all come into focus.
Because
You don't,
it's possible that Growing High Point wouldn't even rank this year. So until you don't really know how things are going to pan out for your new applicants. So it may be that they don't, actually rank to be funded this year. And so you may not want to, you wouldn't want to kind of mix those 2 years like Mike was saying.
Okay, guys, what do you think? I say we just go down the list and, divvy up that 10,000 and let's move on.
if that's too complicated, we can always give it a home.
Well, if Rob's
Yeah, mentioned that before. Yeah. I mean, it seems like this, we're getting in the weeds with it a little bit, and I can see where Jessica's coming from, and where Cloda's, saying where the money could be spent. I mean, we have to go down that list between the rankings, right? There is no skipping a rank. Is that correct?
Right. That's your scoring.
That's the right thing to do.
Yeah, it's the right thing to. I just want to make sure that they're all still doable, given this, because some of those programs could not possibly be feasible right now.
I mean, that's a fair point. But I would say, for the sake of progress, I say let's just divvy it up, give it to the next ones in the slot, and let's move on.
Yeah, I'll second that motion.
We have a motion on the floor and a second. Any questions? None? Okay. We'll do a tally again by name. Orel,
Aye.
Jim,
Yep.
Jerry,
Yes.
Cloda,
Yep.
Jessica,
Yes.
Warren,
Yes.
Mr. Davis,
Yes.
and Robert is a yes. Motion carries. All right, Ms. McNair, item number 2.
Item number 2 is that we have a new employee. Her name is Brittany Baldwin. Unfortunately, she could not be with us tonight because she had death in her family. But I just wanted you guys to know that hopefully you'll be able to meet her at the next meeting. And I am finished.
What position does she have, Michelle?
She's a community resource specialist.
She replaced Meredith.
All right. All right, Mr. McNair, the floor is yours, sir. We have community development and housing update.
Okay, I'm going to try not to be too long-winded and not to be redundant, so I'll try to hit some high points here. We did not cover the action plan schedule in the agenda. Nina, do you have it where you can just pull it up?
Sure do.
This is just the calendar we're going to be following over the next 3 months. So just so you'll be aware, you'll see certain ads in the paper. Obviously, on these citizen participation meetings, you can virtually attend as well. We'll have 2 at night and 1 in the morning. And then we'll have to adjust this now. We had you down for the 25th. Well, I'm sorry, it's a different schedule. On the 25th, we're going to review the draft plan with you. And then on the 28th, we'll start our 30-day review period and comment period that HUD requires. And the draft plan will be available. We'll schedule the public hearing for council. That will be on April the 19th. We'll also do a presentation to the Community Development Committee. Now, as we're moving forward on these things, we're still gathering information, so sometimes there's a little tweak here and there. But we'll go to council on the 19th of April. Typically what we just present it to them. We don't ask them to make a decision. And then we come back on the following meeting to ask them to approve the plan. And it gives them time to look at it. And if they have any questions, it also gives us time to finalize if we get anything back from them. And then we have to submit it to HUD on May the 15th. I just wanted to share that with you, show that to you. Just so you'll be aware of that. That's sort of what's driving our, we're trying to move along because we have a tight window to do these things. Okay, Nina, that's good. Thanks. Any questions about that before I move on? Okay.
Are we able to get a copy of that? Can we get a copy of that emailed to us?
It's a secret.
Well, everyone here
Yes.
promised to keep the secret.
Yes, you can. You can get a copy. We'll email it to you after the meeting.
The secret that was just broadcast on YouTube.
There you go.
Hey, let me ask, hey, Mike.
Yes,
let me
sir.
ask you, public hearing, that's online, right? Public hearing, you was talking about the one, council, public hearing meeting,
Yeah,
won't that be
yeah.
online? Okay,
Yeah.
that's all.
There, but in council chambers, you can see the presentations, but you can't see the people. There's no cameras in there. So you'll hear the voices, you'll hear the presentation. We'll do a PowerPoint and you'll hear it. You'll see it just like you saw the meeting. But you won't see any people. So not quite as user-friendly as what we're doing.
I was just wondering how they were doing it now. That's why I asked.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they're trying to keep people out of there. Like I believe it's not allowed under most circumstances. Okie doke. Okay, there was another item that we were supposed to cover, so I'm playing cleanup man here. We have told you the last couple of meetings that we were going to be making a recommendation to council on allocating the remainder of the CDBG CV funds. And we have decided that February the 15th is when we're going to go to council. And let me find this information so I can tell you. Okay, so what we're going to recommend to council is that there are, Michelle, is there an agency missing on this?
I just sent you over email. Take a look at it. West End.
Oh, you sent me another email?
Yes. Alicia caught it. Someone asked me a question when I was sending it and I forgot to put West End on it. So I sent updated.
Okie dokie.
You have it?
Yeah. Okay, so what we'll be recommending to council is that we'll be providing additional funding to 4 agencies. Housing Consultants Group, we will propose an $80,000 increase in their allocation. They'll be doing mortgage, rental, and utility assistance. Open Door Ministries, we're going to propose a $25,000 rental and utility assistance program to add to the existing one they have. Piedmont Health and Sickle Cell will be $33,343 for rental and utility assistance. West End Ministries will be $60,000 for rental and utility assistance. So that will use up the $198,343, and we'll also allow them a 10% admin overhead fee. So that'll be going. The plan is to go into council. Well, I got a committee meeting on Tuesday, so I'll be sharing that with them, and then we'll put it on the agenda for February the 15th, and that will allocate out the balance of the first allocation.
I have a quick question on the housing consultants, the housing
Consultants.
assistance, that the $80,000 that you mentioned.
Mhm.
Is that the same nonprofit organization that was looking for the 2,000 from last year's CBDG grants?
I don't
Said they were
think,
next on the list. Like it was like 2000.
No,
no.
They're
You-
different.
on that list, that was, I guess you're talking about housing authority?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It was like the 2001 60.
Yeah, that was housing
the
authority.
Housing authority.
housing authority. Yeah, correct.
That was a different one. Okay.
Yes.
These are all agencies that currently have contracts with us for CDBG-CV activities. And that's what we've told you before, that we would be looking to increase, to allocate the balance to agencies that were doing things that were kind of tied into what's going on. So right now it's rent, utilities, and mortgages. So that's where we shoot that. Any questions before I move on?
So Mike, if we get this to council by February, how soon would it be available to the agencies? Would that be March?
Oh no, it'll be as soon as we can process the contract amendment, which will be a week. Back. I mean, we'll have everything ready to go when we go to council, right, Michelle?
Yes. Yes.
So
Yes.
we have everything ready to go, and
We already 99% complete.
yeah, just push the button and move on. Because they're
And-
already existing contracts, so it's just amending an existing contract.
So, Mike, these do not have to be. They do not have to be approved by city council. You're just going to be doing your presentation, correct?
Oh no! The two of them have to be approved by council
Okay.
because the total contract will go over $90,000.
Okay.
But we'll share the whole thing with them. But and we've told them that, and we've told the council committee that we're going to bring it back. You know, council's going to have to approve it, and just for them to know what's going on. We're not, being transparent.
Got it.
Okay. Nina mentioned in her CAPER report about how Avondale Trace was leasing up, but there are a slew of other potential projects coming to High Point. North Carolina Housing Finance Agency published their list of preliminary applications. And there were only two from High Point. One was for a project called Hartley Metals, which is actually at Hartley and Ingleside. I believe that's the name of the street. And then the other one is for a project off of West Wendover in Morris Farm. And that project will be 216 units. Now, I talked to the developer today. He said he's going to probably have another 3 or 4. You have two different funding sources. So the tax credits, they have to submit in January. The bond, what they call the 4% bond, tax-exempt bonds, have a different schedule. So he's going to actually have some additional. He's identified 3 or 4 projects that he says he's going to submit. So we could have as many as 500 or 600 units if all of them get funded, become available, or certainly get into the mix. So that's something we'll be keeping an eye on. Now, also on, Nina mentioned the Cedro project. We'll also plan to go to council on the 15th of February and ask them to authorize the conveyance of the remaining 15 parcels to CHS. If you recall, the subdivision is 19 parcels. 4 parcels were conveyed up front. The remaining 15 had to be held back until the street was finished, more due to watershed issues. So the street had to be finished, the drainage system had to be put in, the bioretention cell had to be, up and running. So now all that's done, now the whole development is available for construction and sale, because they're getting a lot of inquiries. People want to live on the inside, not on the outside. The lots on the interior are bigger than the ones on Cedro. So, you get people, they're getting a lot of hits. So we'll we'll ask council if we can convey them on an as needed basis, so we don't have to dump 15 units on the guy at one time. Now he's got to cut the grass on 15 of them. You know what I'm saying? So we try to lighten the load on them a little bit. So we'll be doing that on the 15th of February as well. Last week, Nina mentioned the lenders workshop. We had 73 people in attendance virtually. It was very interesting. Actually, that's one of they're finding with things like that and the homebuyer education classes, they get better attendance virtually than they do in person. And so I guess especially if you don't have to worry about childcare and that kind of stuff, you can just stay home. It makes it a easier thing to do. But one of the things that we share with them and also share with the committee is with our homebuyer, Core City Homebuyer Incentive Program. We have, since it started, we've had over 200 applications and over 170 closings. Okay, so I don't have a map to show you, but the thing is that it's a longer term program, but the idea really, again, is to diversify the incomes in the core city. That's why there's a combination of federal funds and local funds, because there's not an income cap. The whole concept is to diversify the incomes. So it's that we feel that will help the economy come back in the core. And we're seeing a lot of takers. Actually, people above the median, 80% of the median, are spending. We see more of them than we see people below the median. But those funds are coming from council. Council's very pleased with that program, and they're continuing to fund it every year. So we're going to stay on top of that. And I think I can stop there out of respect for your time. Do you have any questions of me?
Hey, I have one, Mike.
Yes, sir.
Projects like Abington Ridge and the one out on Window, those kind of houses that's going up out there, those kind. Do you see anything like that in the next 5 years and going anywhere like in the Ward 2 area, like down Martin Luther King area? I mean, Kivett, well, I guess it's Martin Luther King now, Kivett Drive, whatever you want to call it.
Yes. One of the things that's happened recently, Willie, is North Carolina Housing Finance Agency. This is what was driving all the stuff in North High Point. North Carolina Housing Finance Agency had a criteria in it that said that the lower the poverty rate of the census tract you were in, the more that was a tiebreaker. You know, because these things are very competitive. So these guys are comparing projects. You know, you do site scores, they do construction quality scores, design scores, but the poverty rate is what was the number one tiebreaker. And so that made everybody run to census tracts that had low poverty rates. That's why most of them, all of them, go to North High Point. North Carolina Housing Finance has removed that this time around. So the poverty rate is no longer the tiebreaker. We anticipate having more projects in the next year or two that are in the core. Or certainly, I know one of the projects that the developer is talking about is down on South Main. You know where Sir Pizza is?
Right.
Baker and South Main, down almost in Archdale.
Right.
This one site is looking at. There are some other sites. Some of the things have to be assembled. As you know, in the core city, there's not a lot of large parcels. You have to kind of buy a bunch of small parcels and assemble them. And so those will take a little longer, but I expect, I mean, we've been talking to them about this for years, and that's what's been the holdup. And of course, with Daniel Brooks coming along, that redevelopment, that's going to really create a lot of interest on Underhill, to be honest with you. It makes Underhill a destination point. So I think there's a lot of exciting things coming down the pike. And fingers crossed, I hope our allocations, HUD allocations, will go up.
What about more senior housing?
Well, one of the project that he was looking at for Ski Club was going to be senior. Abbey Crossing, which has been approved but has not begun construction, is going to be senior. That's next door to Admiral Point. But without getting too far into the weeds, the funding sources kind of drive what you can do. So like he's going to be using these tax exempt bonds are strictly multifamily. On the 9% tax credits, it's going to be difficult, particularly this year, because Greensboro's flooding a lot of money out there. They got a lot of bond money out there, and it's hard to compete for High Point. So it's sometimes you have to kind of find your niche and work it. But I think we'll get something. But Abbey Crossing hopefully should be starting this summer.
Okay.
That'll be 48 units. Yeah, that'll be 48 units.
Hey, Mike, do you know how long the development on that is going to be?
When they start, generally, weather permitting, I haven't been having to say that a lot lately.
Yeah.
Weather's not unfriendly.
That's true. You're right.
Weather permitting, they can do it in 6 months.
Okay.
If you get good weather. If you look at Avondale, once they started working, the big holdup on Avondale, frankly, was once they started construction, was dealing with getting water to the site. And trying not to have to drill a hole under Wendover Avenue. So I think they end up having to drill lay down 500 feet of pipe or something to get water to the site. So it's but once you get to the point where they're ready to build and they get out there and start working, generally about 6 months they can get it done. Cedro looks like it's going to fly off the shelf. I mean, people that's really in high demand. We're hoping that we're almost looking at it. Demand may be greater than our ability to fund it. Let's put it like that. Nice problem to have, but fortunately, since we're crossing fiscal years, we can probably work through it. But there's a lot of demand, a lot of interest out in the marketplace. And those houses are appraising for more than what we thought they would, which is a good.
Market has exploded.
Hmm?
Well, the housing market has exploded. I mean,
Yeah.
any market against the US dollar has exploded pretty much.
Yeah. Mr. Chair, that's all I got, unless somebody has something for me. Is he still? Oh, he's muted. You muted, Bob.
Yeah, Robbie, you're muted.
And again, Mr. McNair, we want to thank you for bringing that information to the committee. Does anyone have any questions for Mike?
Mike, I got one more quick thing. I noticed that my favorite little property up here on James Road had a planning and zoning sign out in front of it. I don't know if that's something I can look up, online, what's going on there, or who knows what they're going to try to do with that property, but I'm interested to find out.
Talking about the church?
Yeah.
I can find out, but I don't know off the top of my head. You remember the name of that church?
It's 608 James Road.
That's close enough. 608 James Road. I'll send an email to Herb and ask him what's going on.
Okay. Appreciate it. Thanks.
All right.
All right. Any other questions? Make sure I'm off mute. Yeah, there we go. Okay. I see we have a slot for city council updates, but I don't see Mr. Jefferson on. Mike, did you get any updates from Cyril, or does Michelle?
No,
Any update?
but I will share with you, if you haven't heard, Victor Jones's father died.
No.
Yeah,
Didn't know.
We hadn't heard that. When did that happen?
He posted on Nextdoor this morning. I guess it was overnight. He said that
Wow.
he said his father died in his arms.
Mm.
Oh, wow.
So just share that with you.
So, Michelle, can we send something to Victor? Just something from the group?
You're on mute, Michelle. Michelle, you're on mute.
Anybody Ripley?
If you guys want to do something on your own, you know, and do that, you can. And I don't know if you were asking me in terms of the city paying for it. I think the answer would probably be no. But if you guys want to do something on your own to send to him, you can do that.
Okay. I was thinking more of something just from the group. We can send him a message or an email, just, expressing our condolences and prayers for the family, that kind of thing.
And I think you guys can do that. I mean, you guys can do that.
Okay. Well, we'll see. If you guys want to do that, we can definitely send something out individually or as a group. But it's a pretty tough loss there. Okay. Not the update we were looking for, but thank you, Mike. Any other updates from City Council? Anything, Mike? Anything, Michelle?
Mm-mm.
Okay. All right, folks. Our
Mike,
next
are you
meeting.
talking? Because if you are, you're muted. You're muted. Is he talking to us?
I was typing an email and I muted. I didn't want my keystrokes to come across. You probably saw there were announcements of several promotions last week. We now have a managing director for community engagement. I believe that's Jerron Hollis was promoted. The diversity and inclusion officer was selected. That is Jelani Biggs. And there's an assistant budget director coming out of Winston-Salem. I have not met him. I don't know him. That's about all we got. I know the police chief did a report to council and said that crime, I believe the major crime stats were all down in High Point, which is, surrounding area has been seeing statistics going in the opposite direction. So we're feeling good about that. The April 19th council meeting was reinstated because the market moved. The market's been moved to the June. So we immediately jumped on that when we heard that. So you're gonna put that meeting back in there because that makes our schedule work better. So we got him to do that. Rob, I think that's all I got off the top of my head. I was not anticipating Cyril not being here.
Mike, you were saying Jerron and Jelani Big, they were moved to what?
They got promotions. So hold on a second. Let me see if I can.
Biggs was the adversity director, or
Jerron's title is Managing Director for its Communication and Public Engagement. And Jelani, isn't it the Diversity and Inclusion Officer?
Mm-hmm.
I believe it is.
It's the new position that the city created.
That's correct.
Oh, thank you, Ryan.
Thank you, Ryan. Yeah, we forgot.
Yes. Jerron is managing director now. Jelani is going to shift over to the diversity and inclusion officer, and we will have what I believe is an opening for another human relations manager.
So when will this take place? When we be receiving a new human relations manager?
As of right now, I don't know that. I don't know the plan for that. I do know that their positions officially start Monday. I don't know when the new human relations manager.
Yeah, they still have to go through a recruiting process.
Jelani will probably continue kind of filling that role a little bit until everything's in.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Mike? Any other questions?
Yeah, Michelle, I didn't hear anything about a CBI grant. Are those going to be around this year?
I don't think we're gonna do CBI grants this year. I think we had talked about the money that we use for CBI will be added to the CDBG grants this year.
Okay. I was just curious.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, our next meeting is scheduled for February the 25th. And again, going back to the schedule change, all meetings are
24th.
at the 24th.
Yeah, we just made a change during the meeting that it would be on the 24th and the 25th.
Well, that's right. Those are our grants. Okay. So the next meeting, the next meeting is February 24th, which is a Wednesday. Are we going to be able to get that meeting for 6 or 6:30?
We can do it whatever time because Ryan said there is no other meetings on that night.
All right. So team, how early do you want to start?
I would say 6 o'clock for me.
6 sounds good.
6 for me too.
And I think you guys had already decided 6 o'clock. That's what I wrote down earlier.
All right. So next meeting is at February 24th at 6. Do we have any announcements, any comments? Anybody would like to share anything at this time?
Just a comment. I don't know if y'all just seen it. I just seen it pop across my phone there. The great actress Cissy Tyson has passed away at age 96. Not that it has anything to do with the city. I just thought I'd mention it. I just love Cissy Tyson. I just see she passed away. Age 96. Yeah.
For universe too.
Thank you for that, Mr. Davis. That is an American icon, tremendous individual. So, that's all. I'll just have a moment, if we could. Moment of silence for Miss Cicely Tyson. All right, group. Any other questions? Any comments? Nope. Okay, I just want to say one thing to the group. I do appreciate everyone's commitment to the group again. You guys have definitely shown your willingness to support the CAC and do what you can for the community. As Michelle had mentioned earlier, there are neighborhood leaders meetings that are happening on the fourth Mondays. Is that correct, Michelle?
Yes, the neighborhood leaders meeting is on the 4th Monday, and I'll send you guys out a schedule.
All right. I would just recommend, if we could, just try to attend those, get our faces out again. There are some challenges that we're having in the neighborhood associations, just trying to get members out, trying to make sure that meetings are being held. So with COVID again, there are some challenges. But Michelle, we'll get that out to you. And again, I just want to say thank you to everyone and for everything that you do. Okay. Any other announcements? Questions? Comments?
Got a motion to adjourn.
We have a motion on the floor to adjourn. Do we have a second?
I second.
Was that Mr. Davis?
Yes.
And all those in favor say aye.
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 Bye.
All opposed? All right. And I am also in agreement. Thank you, everyone. Everyone have a great evening, and we will see you soon.